Hey friends, what's going on? This is David Potts with Song Notes and a warm-up exercise for you today where I'm going to talk about this 2-chord little back and forth you can do to get the blood flowing when you pick up that guitar. We're going to be going between a G and a D7. Okay, I'm going to show you what's going on with these chord shapes. These are not conventional chord voicings, but they have a tremendous benefit to learn in that they require very minimal finger movement to switch between. And it's a great thing to practice. And there's also some cool muting stuff that's going on with this exercise where I'm sort of naturally resting my hands over here. I'm not pushing down into the fretboard yet. And all the strings are muted, right? And I can start my strumming. And then to make the sound, what's going to happen is I'm going to squeeze the fretboard like this. Watch. Right? And I'm sort of strumming loud to make an effect here. But this is a cool little thing I want to show you, and I'm going to show you. So keep on watching, and as always, you can check out my website, playsongnotes.com, where you can find the notes and tabs for this lesson if you'd like to print them out and have access to them outside of this video. And if you support me on Patreon, you get access to a nice handcrafted artisanal PDF that you can either have on your computer or put in your Dropbox or print out or do whatever you want, right? You can take it with you, and it's a way to support me. A few bucks every month. You get all access to all these printouts for all my new lessons, and you also get to keep them forever. So it's win-win, hopefully, and it inspires me to keep making new lessons for you regularly. So with that said, let's dive on in and figure this out. All right? Talk about this little cool chord transition you can do, which involves this 4-finger shape with this 4-finger shape. Okay? And what's interesting about this is basically our index finger and our ring finger are staying perfectly still between both of these chords, okay? They're in the same spot for each chord, and all that's changing is our middle finger and our pinky fingers that are just sort of switching strings, but they're staying on the same fret. So there's actually a remarkably small amount of movement given we're playing 2 different chords. Okay, now as far as what these chords are, this is actually, the first chord is coming from this G major chord, okay? This would be 3rd, 5th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 3rd. This is a bar chord, right? It's a lot more difficult because you're playing all 6 strings. You need a lot of finger power and calluses and all that stuff. But this version, it's just the middle 4 strings of that 6-string bar chord. And you're only using your fingertips. There's no barring involved here, right? And I'm sort of just not playing the thickest and thinnest strings. And if anything, I'm sort of bumping my fingers into those strings, which mutes them. If I was to play all 6 strings, that thickest and thinnest strings don't make a sound, which is nice, right? So that's the first chord. It's a G. It's basically a ring finger on the 5th string, pinky on the 4th string, and middle finger. Okay, this is like an E major shape, just these 3 chords, and then we're going to put our index down on the 2nd string. Okay, now for the 2nd chord, all we're going to do is move our pinky 1 string closer to the ground and our middle finger 1 string closer to our face. So then this one looks like this. It's basically going from 5th fret to 4th fret to 5th fret to 3rd fret. And the really thing that you might want to recognize here is these 3 fingers look like they're in a C major shape, okay? Like a C down here just slid up. And then we're putting our pinky down. So it's basically, this is a D7 chord. Okay? This is the same tonal result as if we played this up here. Open, 2nd, 1st, 2nd. Okay? This is also a D7 chord. There's many places to play a D7 chord along the fretboard. This is one of them, and this is one of them. Okay? Now, again, going from this chord to this chord is the magic part of this little thing here. This is going from the sort of root, right? This is G. G is the root. It's the 1 chord in the key of G. And then D7 is the dominant 7th, right? And when you go from a dominant 7th back to a root, it sounds good. You don't need to understand any of the theory aside from it sounds good when you go from a D7 to a G, right? That D7 is like making this tension. It's like you want it to resolve. It's like you have to sneeze, and then it goes to the G, right? Whether it's this G or whether it's this G, it just sounds good. So now we have this D7, and we're going to practice going from that D7 to the G. Okay? So what I'm doing here is some strumming where, again, I'm pulling my fingers actually off the fretboard after I strum. And what that does is, as long as I keep my fingers on the strings, touch the strings, but take your fingertips, like depress them from the fretboard, it'll kill the sound. So my fingers are never leaving the strings, they're just sort of like pushing down, letting go, pushing down, letting go, pushing down, letting go. Okay, and then do for the D7, same thing. Now, once you get good at this, we're gonna do some strumming. And let's try, that's the sort of goal. It's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So this is tricky. We're gonna be in sort of bursts of 3 here, right? So it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Then switch. So really, it's almost like I'm just grabbing the strings with this. I'm sort of putting my hands here and resting, and just squeezing the fretboard for the notes I want to play. Okay, so you follow along with this tab here, and we basically have it's bursts of 3, and on the first burst of each 3 is when we're going to grab. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then we have this. You'll notice with my right hand strumming, I'm hitting the strings on every strum, okay? So down, up, 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 down, up. It's really my left hand that's creating telling the rhythmic story. Now from there, you could lay off the right hand a little bit if you want to be it not so obnoxious. Alright, so there we have it. That's basically that cool transition from a G to a D7 that I wanted to teach you there. Now the cool thing is, for extra credit, ways you can sort of take this little warm-up and apply it to different places is you could take that same those same two chord shapes and then move them up. So say we're going to go up 2 frets and we're going to be on the 5th, 6th, and 7th fret. This would be going from an A to an E7, okay? A to E7. So that would sound kind of like, right? A, E7, A, E7, right? Or we could go up even further. We could go up to a B, and I guess this would be an F sharp 7. Now it gets kind of tricky. I'm hitting an open note there. That would be the same as. Right? So, the takeaway here is that these two chord shapes are always going to sound good together, okay? This chord shape is always going to be the root, and this chord shape is always going to be the dominant 7th, right? The 5-7. And going from that 5-7, you build up that tension, and then you resolve it at the root. It feels good, right? Tension, 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 resolve. Okay, so that's a nice little trick to keep in mind there. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. This is a good one just to sort of get your blood flowing in certain ways if you want to just practice a sort of strummy thing where you're doing that grab, strum, bum, 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 bum. Good fun, right? So I want to teach you this one. This has always been a favorite of mine when I pick up the guitar and I just want to get things grooving. So I wanted to share it with you. And again, this is based on the Jack Johnson song, Mudfootball, which is, I think, track 10 of his first album. It's a really good song. This is the opening little sequence he does there to get things going. So thanks for watching, y'all. This has been David Potts. Remember, check out the website, playsongnotes.com, if you want to find the notes and tabs for this lesson, along with a printout of these tabs to keep with you. It'll be available there. But with that, I'm going to head off into the night, and until next time, I'll see you around. Take care. Bye-bye.